Hello, hello. Today we're going to be talking about is sharing really caring? We're going to be discussing the ethics of sharing your Netflix password. So let's be real, we've probably all shared some sort of password, whether it's a streaming site or maybe like Spotify. So we're either person A, the person who pays for the account and is the one doing the act of sharing the password, B, the girlfriend, C, parasite number one, or two, or what did I just say? D, parasite number two. So let's jump right into our scenario. So meet Nick. Nick is just an ordinary guy. He's just a chill guy. He is a computer science college student, barely scraping by, earning what he calls V-Bucks from his minimum wage internship. We've all been there, getting paid less at our computer science internships than we probably would at like McDonald's. But you know what? Nick decides I'm going to treat myself and I'm going to buy a monthly Netflix subscription. Yeah, let's go. So his friend Marcos comes along and asks, "Hey, I really want to watch Shrek. Shrek is love, Shrek is life. So it's really only available on Netflix. Do you think that we could share your password?" And now the dilemma lands. Should Nick, being such a good friend, quote unquote, share his password? Or is it really only right for Shrek and the rest of Netflix to remain behind a paywall? What is the ethics of sharing your Netflix password? So, what is the decision? Well, as you can see demonstrated by these amazing friendship images, Nick, he low key wants to be selfish at first. I mean, after all, he worked really hard in his internship. He deleted the database, but that's besides the point. He wants to be a good friend to his buddy Marcos. So he decides, you know what? I'm going to share my Netflix password. So, is he a good friend? Maybe. Is this a good action? I don't know. Let's test this with our ethical standard. So, first, we're going to be discussing ethical standard using ACM, which is ethics for computing professionals. So, I've listed some bullets here of some ethical standards, one of them being 1.2 avoid harm. So, I mean, pretty self explanatory, but harm would be anything that causes negative consequences to someone or something in any way. So, any harm to society, whether that's physical harm, mental harm, or financial harm. Especially as computer scientists, you have to think about what you're going to be doing that might cause harm to other people. So there's also 1.3, which is be honest and trustworthy. So honesty must be upheld. False claims, falsification of information, and dishonest actions, they violate the ACM. So that would be no bueno. Next, we have this ethical standard 1.5, which is respect the work rate required to produce new ideas, inventions, creative works, and computing artifacts. So, what does that even mean? Basically, the effort behind new ideas, it should be valued and it should be honored. This is usually by offering credit to creators, respecting copyright, protecting their work. But as we're going to discuss later, there are some exceptions to this, such as when the work is just so good for society that you honestly, um, quote unquote, protecting it or limiting it would actually cause society more harm than good. So let's discuss these ethical standards in practice with our scenario. So, for a case for ethical, in this case, we believe that Marco should be able to watch Shrek. Why? Because it would overall lead to just more happiness and value the work. Let me explain. 1.2 avoid harm. So, if Marcos really wanted to watch Shrek and like he was going through a really bad time, refraining him from doing so could be really harmful for his mental health. Yeah. So, Nick would in turn be having happiness to society by sharing his password with Marcos and preventing negative consequences, such as negative emotions. Also, it would probably contribute to society in general in a good way, as Shrek is pretty funny, so he would be contributing to a funnier society. Next, 1.5 respect the work required to produce new ideas, inventions, creative works, and computing artifacts. So, we all know that Shrek is a masterpiece, which, by the way, if you haven't watched Shrek, what are you doing? Like, literally pause out of this video and go watch Shrek. But, anyways, keeping it behind a paywall, it may not honor the work in the way that it deserves. You see, if Marcos really enjoys Shrek, then he's probably going to recommend it to more people in the same way that I am recommending you right now. And it would probably bring more exposure and appreciation for the film and value the work behind it. I think that watching the film is the best way that you can value it because, right, the creators have put work behind it and ultimately they want you to watch it and they might want your money, but ultimately the goal should be, you know, for more people to watch it. So I think that if Marcos watches it and enjoys it, he may be recommending it to more people and ultimately just value the work more. And new discussions surrounding the themes taught in Shrek can also bring societal benefit. I mean, we talked about how gatekeeping Shrek from society could be really detrimental. And like, I don't really want to live in a society where there's not Shrek. So, yeah. But let's talk about the unethical side of things, breaking the rules, unfortunately. This is the more obvious choice of whether it's ethical or unethical, but let's break it down real quick. So, 1.3, we talked about be honest and trustworthy. So, the thing is that as of October 2025, sharing your Netflix account with someone outside of your household is against the terms of service. I'm not sure when this originated. So, you know what? Maybe if it was August, then it wouldn't matter as much. But I'm pretty sure this has been around for a while. But Nick agreed to these terms when signing up, assuming that he did in the terms of conditions. So sharing his account with Marcos is in turn dishonest and violating this ethical rule. And 1.5, once again, to respect the work required to produce new ideas, inventions, creative works, and computing artifacts. So sharing Shrek with Marcos, unfortunately, is kind of stealing revenue from the creators and Netflix, and really anyone that worked to put it onto Netflix, because Marcos wouldn't be paying his own subscription. But I would like to argue what is the difference between someone in the household sharing the password versus someone outside of the household. So that could be a little bit tricky there. What is the difference? But either way, this would not be completely valuing the work put into the masterpiece of Shrek because it would be producing basically financial harm and really reducing the amount of revenue that the creators have made from Shrek. So, in conclusion, in the grand scheme of things, Nick sharing his password with Marcos, it probably won't destroy society and probably just make Marcos pretty happy. But if everyone did it, which low key everyone does it, Netflix might lose a bunch of revenue. But in my opinion, if we're being real, they probably have more than enough money. They probably already make too much money and, if anything, maybe exploit people. But that's besides the point. And the creators of Shrek, yeah, they're probably good too. So, in all seriousness, I think that Marco should probably just find a job if he's jobless and stop being unemployed and provide for his own Netflix subscription because it's only $8 a month. And I think we should all honestly do this. But we're all going to end up being parasites anyways and just asking someone else because sometimes you just want to watch Shrek without having to pay for it, you know? So this is peace, love, and friendship if everyone bonded over Shrek. And that is my discussion on whether or not sharing your Netflix password is ethical. Thank you.